Today I fucked up by not censoring my dark humor around my girlfriend's parents. So I have a dark sense of humor. I share this sense of humor with my friends and close family. My girlfriend and I have been together for about a year and I get on well with her parents, but her dad has always been especially hard to get to know. This actually just happened. My girlfriend and I came back from a meal out and joined her parents for a chat in the lounge while they were looking at potential holidays. We were talking about places we'd like to visit in our lifetime and my chess mum mentioned how expensive such and such places were. I, without any second thought for the company I was in, followed up with, well, if it's the price you're concerned about, I've heard Iran is quite cheap this time of year. My chess mum laughed, although brief. Her father, on the other hand, went silent. He then looked directly at me and said with a stony face, that's a rather dark joke for the situation. Not very funny considering how many people died. I immediately fell silent, realizing my mistake. I should restrain myself given the fact I hardly know him or his sense of humor. The conversation quickly died and I cringed to myself about the true horror of what I'd just said to this unsuspecting family. I simply pretended I hadn't said anything. My GF and I quickly made our exit and I am now dreading our next encounter. TL, Doctor, I make an insensitive joke about the recent Iraq plane disaster to Chess Dad, who I hardly know. He didn't take it well. Guess you could say that joke went down in flames? That's a rather dark joke for the situation. Not very funny considering how many people died. No worries, man. I frequently make things awkward with my dark sense of humor because honestly it's kinda how I deal with pain. For example, I lost both parents to cancer when I was in my 20s. One time, shortly after my mother had passed, my dad had passed some years earlier. At a gathering of friends, my buddy made a comment. My parents call me all the time asking for money. I have the most useless parents. Without missing a beat, I said, nope, pretty sure I have you beat. Everyone was quiet for a second and then just went, uck. The worst is when you routinely have the dark sense of humor, but then screw up in real life and people aren't sure if it's another joke. For example, I accidentally invited my cousin with one eye to a 3D movie. He stared at me for a very long time before I clued in. Oops. Should have used the silence to double down about a fire sale on flights to Australia, while making uncomfortable eye contact. You're already in trouble. Might as well make it spectacular. Australia is lit, the Middle East is constantly blowing up, it's shooting off in America, and tilde Singapore tilde Hong Kong is a riot. Edit, I am stupid. When I first started dating my now husband when we were in high school, we were eating dinner with his parents and someone was talking about one of those restaurants where you can bring in anything and they'll deep fry it for you, and I was like, but what if you brought in a baby? And not single person who was at that table has let me live it down. May. The fun is that you think going to Iran is cheap. It could easily cost you your life. I have a dark humor as well and my Phil is, well, more conservative and less cultured. My GF still gets concerned when I propose we just yeet the baby out the window if she can't handle the crying. Obviously you don't do that. You shake them. Today I fucked up by edging myself. Much something happened to my tubes. Throw away, of course, but this one did actually happen today. We've had a house full of visiting family for the holidays, which meant one of our children had to sleep on a mattress on the floor in our bedroom, to make room for the guests. This obviously has forced a halt to our conjugal relations, and there's been no time or space to catch up in the meantime. Usually on this situation, I would just find a quiet place and rub one out, like the garage, or the backyard at 2 AM. You know, like a normal dad. And I did. But for some reason, this time I decided that rather than taking the edge off, I'd intentionally increase the tension in my loins by jerking off as much as possible, but not finishing. I had visions of a glorious release after a marathon reunion when we once again had our privacy. Now, for the unaware, a funny thing happens when a guy dedicates himself to some serious edging. I mean, it does to me anyway. I've never actually compared notes with any other suitably self-loving penis owners. Simply put, the more you edge, the more you come. It's like every time you start to do the deed, the cum factory starts production, anticipating a big order. But when the delivery never goes out, some of it gets saved up for the next one. The same happens again next time, more builds up, and over and over. After a point, it's like there's too much cum, and it'll start to leak out early, before climax. I'm not talking about pre-cum, that's there too. I'm talking about the real deal, white and gooey, baby-making man-seed. I developed a little routine so that once I was close, I'd stop and start, forcing myself right to the edge, at least 10 times per session. Stroke, 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 stop. Tingle, tingle, tingle. Oh yay. Right to the edge, but not over. Repeat. As a side effect of all the unfulfilled build-up, I had a nice little stream of cum for most of each session. I did this every chance I got, over the course of the last couple of days. Though today I fucked up all torture, in anticipation of one epic, final, blowout tonight. I was pretty sure my wife would never let me come in her again after the mess I was fixing to make, but it was gonna be very worth it. Now, today, and it's almost time to take the guests to the airport, one step closer to release from my self-imposed prison of pleasure. We have some time, though, so I guess I'll just step into the bathroom for a minute. Stroke, 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 stop. 10 times. Or 11. Maybe 12. Okay, last time. Clean up the little pool of cum from the floor, wash my hands, and noon's the wiser. Feels a little strange down there this time though. Like I need to pee, bursting to pee, actually. Where did that come from? No time, anyway. Got to make sure they don't miss the flight. That would be tragic. So I have this strange feeling like I really need to pee, and it's stinging at the end of my urethra, all the way to the airport and back. First chance I get, I try to pee, but there's not much there. As soon as I walk out of the bathroom, I feel like I'm bursting to pee again. Okay, this sucks. Now, I usually pee right after sex. Dick hygiene 101, right? Flush out the pipes after use. It was then I realized that I've had a dick full of cum for the best part of 2 days, only getting occasionally cleaned out when I happened to pee, and then filled right back up again at my next sneaky session. I guess my urethra finally got sick of all the cum left in it and said enough. So now as I'm typing this, the sensation has subsided a little, which gives me hope that I haven't done any permanent damage, and it's just irritated somehow. My cock is still tingling, but not in a nice way. Suddenly, the thought of a huge load doesn't seem so enticing. In fact, right now I reckon it would probably sting like a motherfucker. I think I'm gonna have to let this fire go out. But that's not the worst thing. Now I have to try to explain to my wife why I'm not climbing all over her after a 10-day dry spell. Too long didn't read, edged so much all the excess cum irritated my urethra somehow and wrecked my plans for epic ejaculation. This story needs to be continued. I disagree. He brought us right to the edge and the final climax to the story was excellent. Just pound water to clean the main vein, it happens. If it still hurts, probably need to go see a pecker checker. Pecker checker, glorious lol. It actually sounds like a UTI. I've had them as a woman, but the needing to pee and unpleasant tingling sensation are definitely symptoms. Go careful op, if it is and the bacteria gets back into your kidneys, you'll know about it. Probably worth a visit to the doctor. I am a male and I had it once. Since I am indestructible I didn't go to the doctor for a good few months after the first symptoms showed up. When it got too annoying to have that burn at every urination and the pain hit 9 I caved in and went to see a doctor friend. My friend told me what I probably had, and sent me for tests. Apparently they diagnose you at something like 40k cultures in your pee, but with my sample the lab simply stopped counting at 1 million. She told me she didn't understand how I was upright and moving around, but it honestly wasn't all that bad, had worse if you know what I mean. She put me on antibiotics and sent me home. I took the first pill on my way from her office, and fairly quickly I got so sick I had to go to bed. I started having a high fever with hallucinations. I was swimming in my own sweat and talking to myself. In summary, I was feeling less than great. Something like 24 hours later, still in the same state of complete feverish madness, my doctor friend suddenly appeared in my room because my friends, I was sharing a place with one of my friends at that point, were worried and had called her. She informed me I had left her office 2 hours prior. I went 30 days without coming, not even a wet dream, before marrying my wife. Edged every day for the week before. I know that full feeling, the tension is nearly unbearable. On our wedding night, I thought I was going to give her the load of loads. I might have, but mid-orgasm my pelvic floor cramped and wouldn't release. I can't remember much other than rolling around on the bed moaning and trying not to cry from the pain. Poor wife thought she broke me. Today I fucked up by not waking up. Obligatory. This didn't happen today but at about 3 weeks ago when I was in Krakow. So me and my boyfriend and 2 friends went on holiday to Poland and stayed in this pretty fancy hotel. We went out drinking and my boyfriend was pretty drunk, so we went back to our room. When I'm really drunk I tend to pass out and nothing will wake me. Around 3 AM, my boyfriend got up to go to the bathroom, and in his half asleep half drunken state, he opened the door to the hallway rather than the bathroom door. The door then automatically locked behind him. To make things worse, my boyfriend was completely naked. To get back in the room, he needed his key card. So he starts knocking and banging on the door to wake me up, so I let him back in and he realizes that I'm not going to get up and he'll end up waking up everyone else. He is then forced to run naked down the hotel stairs to the reception desk, ask for a key card and then run back to let himself in. I wake up when I hear someone coming into the room and see him looking so ashamed and also slightly angry. I ask what's wrong and he slams the key card down and says, "You won't fucking believe where I've just been." He tells me and I think he's joking, fall back asleep, and when I wake up later he tells me again. Best believe I shared the story with our 2 friends over breakfast. From then on, every time we walked past the reception desk he put his hoodie up and ran. Too long didn't read, naked boyfriend locked himself out the hotel room, I didn't wake up, he was forced to run naked to the reception desk for a key. Pro tip, should this ever happen to you, see if you can find the cart where the housekeeping staff keep clean towels etc. If you're lucky, it will actually be out in the corridor on your floor somewhere. If not, it might be in a utility room. Walking down to reception with a towel wrapped around you is about 75% less embarrassing than walking down entirely naked, and 100% less likely to get you arrested. Ask anyone in the hotel industry, and they will tell you this happens a lot. My dad once managed to get locked outside the whole hotel in just his boxers when he mistakenly went out a fire escape in the middle of the night. So like, naked. Or naked, not one piece of fabric on his whole body. May. I didn't wake up, so my friend came back in through the door. The next morning he went to the reception, and with a straight face said that he believes someone broke into our room last night. They didn't charge us anything for replacing the door that was completely in pieces. What kind of weakest door was that? LPT, ask for hotel keys while naked for free rooms.